Hey everyone, I'm the Pixel Pathfinder and my goal is to help you find great new indie games to play. Well, 2024 is here. We have a big year ahead of us. There's lots of stuff to look forward to. Here pretty soon on the channel, I'll have a video looking back at 2023, but in the meantime, I wanted to share with you my top 10 most anticipated games of 2024. Now, they're not all going to be indie games, but most of them are. And I've got a couple of games I want to point out, a couple of honorable mentions, and then we'll get into the top 10. And my hope is that you can find something to be excited about in 2024 from watching this video as well. All right, so I got two games I just want to mention real quickly. So the first here is going to be Last Epoch. This is a game that's been in early access for quite a while, and it's going to be getting its 1.0 release coming up here in February. So I'm really excited to check out the full version of this. It's an action RPG like Diablo or Path of Exile. The next game here that I wanted to mention is going to be Core Keeper. Core Keeper is another one that's been in early access for a while that's getting a official 1.0 release or coming up this year. And this is one that I've enjoyed playing a lot with my wife. It is a co-op sandbox mining survival adventure game, and it's fantastic. All right, so let's get into the 10 honorable mentions that I have for you here, starting with Lost and Found Co. So Lost and Found Co. is a game that I've showcased a demo for here on the channel. It's a hidden object game. That's really all you need to know about it, but it's one of the coolest hidden object games I've ever played. The artwork is fantastic. The design of the levels is awesome. They do a lot of interesting stuff. A lot of times you boot up a hidden object game and it's like, find the hidden objects, and that's the end of it. In this one, there's like stories and multiple searches you have to do within the same level, and it just makes the game really, really interesting. So I'm looking forward to this one. The next game here is going to be Reka or Reka. I'm not sure how you say that, but this is a game that I normally would not play. It's a sandbox survival game, but you play as a witch under the tutelage of the infamous Baba Yaga. And in the process of, surviving and gathering and creating potions and everything else, you do something really unique and interesting, which is you build a base, but you build the base on the back of like the chicken from the Baba Yaga tale. And so your house that you're building actually gets up and follows you around the map. And this is just something that looks really cool, really novel, really interesting. And so I'm excited to get the chance to take a look at this. And it didn't make it onto the top 10 just because, this isn't my normal type of genre, but I think it's really interesting. And for me, when it comes to survival crafting games, the thing I really want to do is build the base. And so this is a super interesting take on that. The next game here is going to be Helldivers 2. So Helldivers, the first game, is one that I played a lot with my wife. It was an isometric shooting game where you went out to these different planets and you had to secure areas and get drop pods and all this kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun. It was really enjoyable. The kind of catch with Helldivers is that it has mandatory friendly fire, and so I would get destroyed by my wife all the time in this game. In Helldivers 2, they're actually moving the game into like a third-person shooter perspective, so they're doing a huge change as far as the perspective that you play the game from, but everything that I've been seeing in the trailers looks like Helldivers 1, but with the change in perspective and, obviously some third-person shooter mechanics worked in. I'm really excited to get to try this one out, play this, and get absolutely murdered by my wife again. So we'll see how that goes later this year. The next honorable mention is going to be Silence of the Siren. So I'm always looking for games that are similar to Might and Magic or Heroes of Might and Magic. And this is one that's coming out here soon that has a sort of sci-fi setting. I think the graphics are pretty solid. They look pretty good. I'm not normally into sci-fi, but I think that the alien races and technology and stuff that they're showcasing in this game are very interesting. And like I said, this is just one of those sort of, I don't know if it's a genre, but it's a type of game that I always want to play whatever version is coming out next to see if it happens to be the one that really catches my attention. The next honorable mention here is going to be Dark Deity 2. Now, I actually covered Dark Deity 2 in my alphabetical looking forward to 2022 videos, but those got a little bit out of hand, so I wanted to make sure I got one that covered all the really big games I was excited about. This game is a Fire Emblem style fighting game, but the twist here is that you have around 20 heroes, I believe, that start out pretty basic but have a ton of customization in them. There's like 45, I think, classes or something that are branching, and then you mix in like abilities and weapons and everything else to really kind of customize your squad. And to make the heroes your own. And for me, I love turn-based tactical games, but a lot of times I hate them because the thing that I like about them is being able to make my team, my squad that's like unique to me. And a lot of tactical games don't give you enough options in order to really do that, but Dark Deity 2 is one of the games that look like it's going to manage to do that. The next honorable mention here is going to be Escape the Mad Empire. This is another one that I mentioned in my alphabetical series, and this one is basically a CRPG like Baldur's Gate or maybe Pathfinder or Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader, but this is a pixel art style. It looks really interesting. The more I look at this game, the more I want to play it, and that's the reason it made the list. It's also got some big base building elements into it, which, again, like I said, that's something I really like to do, is build up a base and unlock a bunch of sort of like meta progression stuff as you play. So this one has definitely caught my eye. The next honorable mention is going to be Dracantos, another one that I've featured in my alphabetical series. This is a pixel art MMO, and I've pretty much given up playing any MMO or live service games, with the exception of maybe Path of Exile, just because I don't like playing games that make me feel like I have to play them as a job if I want to keep up and I don't want to miss things. However, with this game, there's something really nostalgic and fun and interesting about the pixel art style MMO here. It reminds me of stuff like Ragnarok or Tree of Savior. My wife has played those quite a bit before, so I'm kind of excited about the prospect of being able to check this out and play a game with this kind of art style, but with MMO systems on top, and also excited about the prospect of, maybe having something like this that I could play with my wife as well. All right, our next honorable mention is going to be Avowed, another one I've covered in the alphabetical series. This is a first-person fantasy RPG from Obsidian, who are the makers of quite a few stellar RPGs out there, including Fallout New Vegas. Obsidian is basically kind of putting Avowed forward as their version of Skyrim. Not a direct comparison, but I mean, first-person fantasy RPG. Obsidian tends to go for a little more quality over quantity compared to a studio like Bethesda, where they just kind of throw everything in the kitchen sink into their game, and then it's riddled with bugs, and some of it may not be, actually all that deep or interesting. Obsidian's kind of the opposite of that. They're going to have games that are smaller and scope but greater in depth, and I haven't played a first-person fantasy RPG in a long time that's really held my interest, and I feel like Avowed could really do that, so I'm excited to check it out in 2024 as well. The next honorable mention is going to be Tactical Breach Wizards. Now, this is a game that the more and more I looked at it, the more and more interesting it's become to me. So Tactical Breach Wizards takes the idea of the sort of tactical breach games, sort of SWAT style games where you have to go in and you have to break down doors and throw flash grenades and kind of like suppress bank robberies and hostage situations and stuff like that. But they add this element where all of their sort of tactical units are wizards. And so they still have guns, they still have grenades, but they're also doing a bunch of crazy magical stuff as well. And I don't know, there's something about this that just is really catching my eye a lot more than those other types, just the regular SWAT games have. There's a good sense of humor to the game, and also a lot of the cosmetics and things that they show look pretty interesting, but I just think it's just enough of a twist on this genre to make me want to get into it and play it, so I'm really looking forward to this game. And then the final honorable mention here is going to be Spell Rogue. So Spell Rogue I've done a demo for here on the channel. It is one of my most anticipated roguelike dice/deck building games coming up in 2024. It's super interesting because you sort of draft spells, which are almost like drafting your cards or your deck. But then when you have those spells, you have to roll dice and manipulate dice in order to activate those spells. And so it makes for a really fun and a really interesting combination of mechanics. And on top of that, you can upgrade spells, you can upgrade dice. I played the demo where you could only play as one of the 3 mages that are going to be put out for this game, and I just had a blast and instantly wishlisted the game, and I'm really looking forward to getting being able to play the full thing. All right, so now we're getting into the top 10 most anticipated games of 2024 for me, and these are in order. Everything so far has been in order, but we're going to start with number 10, which is Pal World. And I spoiled my number 1 up there, but no surprise. Pal World is a game that I've been looking forward to for quite a long time. This is a open world survival crafting version of Pokemon. So essentially you can collect creatures and monsters, and then you can use them as like mounts in the open world. You go out, you're going to be crafting, and look, there's guns. So it's like open world survival crafting Pokemon in third person, but with guns. And so for whatever reason, this just looks really interesting and fun to me. And I've been looking forward to playing this for quite a while, and I kept hoping they'd put out a demo that I could play, but either they didn't or I missed it. This is actually coming out, I believe, January or February of 2024, so it's coming really soon, and I'm really looking forward to getting to play this and see what it's all about. I really hope it's good, and I think they did a really good job on their monster design and stuff. I mean, some of it is pretty close to some Pokemon design, but I'm okay with that. In at number 9 is Bloomtown. This is one I've covered on my alphabetical series as well. Bloomtown is a pixel art creature collection JRPG that is set kind of back in the 1960s era. But the thing that I like about Bloomtown is it has this undertone of creepy, Cthulhu-y, dark, tentacle-y stuff going on. And that gives it an interesting twist because the pixel art is fantastic. The detail's amazing. But, you know, that sort of like horror thriller element just adds a nice little extra touch to it. And on top of that, it allows them to do some really interesting and different things with their monsters and also the creatures that you can collect. So I had the chance to play a closed alpha for this, but I was too busy and didn't get the chance, and I'm so sad that I didn't get the opportunity. So I'm waiting for the full release here in 2024. In at number 8 is Aethermancer, another one I've covered on my alphabetical series. Aethermancer is a creature collection turn-based RPG. Can you tell that I like these kinds of games, or I at least want to check them out and get excited about them? But this one is from the creators of Monster Sanctuary, which is a creature collection platforming game that actually really had me interested because I liked a lot of the things that they did in that game to kind of elevate the genre beyond Pokemon. So like monsters had talent trees and all kinds of skills and stuff like that. And this one seems really interesting. There's a combat system where you essentially kind of steal elements from the other monsters in order to cast your spells. The monsters look really interesting, and they look a lot more mature or adult compared to something like Pokemon. And just the pedigree of the studio that did Monster Sanctuary and how much I enjoyed that game has me super excited to play Aethermancer later this year. In at number 7 is Vivid World. So Vivid World is the other top 3 auto battler that I'm excited about for the coming year, along with The Last Flame and Caverns and Tactics, and now I can't remember the name. Tales and Tactics, that's the other one. Vivid World is the sequel to a game called Vivid Night that I kind of stumbled upon randomly a couple years ago and actually really enjoyed. In that game, you sort of run through this dungeon that's composed of different rooms, and there's paths along the way, and you essentially collect crystals, and the crystals are the heroes that you use to fight with. And as you collect more crystals, you can combine them and upgrade those units. Well, Vivid World has a different art style compared to the first one. They're kind of going for a cooler vibe instead of a cuter vibe, but it has a lot of the same elements as Vivid Night, but they're adding additional systems and layers on top. It just looks really cool, and with how much fun I had with the first game, I didn't even know there was gonna be a sequel, but as soon as I saw it, I went, wait, is that a sequel to Vivid Night? And yeah, it is, and I'm really excited to play it and to showcase it here on the channel. All right, in at number 6, we have Metaphor Refantasio, or Tazio, or however you want to say it. This is a game that doesn't have a Steam page yet. It's also definitely not an indie game. This is by the creators of the Persona and Shin Megami Tensei series. And so I want to kind of showcase this off here, but give me a second. I got to mute it. There we go. So this is a game by the creators of Persona. The Persona games are games that I've always really wanted to play. I have loved the UI, the menus, and all that kind of stuff for the games, and the combat and stuff I found very interesting, but I just could not get over the aspect of the Persona games where you have to be like a high school student and do all this other stuff that's not just like dungeon exploring and going out there and fighting and things of that nature. This looks like a much more mature take on that. It looks closer in theme to something like Shin Megami Tensei or even like the Berserk anime, which are both like high praise from me in terms of theme. So thematically, it looks really good. You're also not a student, so there's none of that stuff going on. So I'm really looking forward to this game as one that maybe will allow me to play an Atlas game from these creators that I'll actually be able to get into and continue to play. So this is coming sometime in fall 2024, and I'm just really excited, really hyped to play it. All right, coming in at number 5 is going to be Hades 2. So hopefully, if you're watching this channel for indie games, you've heard of Hades. And if you haven't, then you should probably go check it out. Hades is a game that I really enjoyed and have not played as much as I want to. It's definitely on my list to get in there and finish playing Hades. And Supergiant Games is a developer that I've really enjoyed their games. I played and beat Bastion and Transistor. I played a little bit of Pyre and a couple other things here and there, but they consistently put out high quality games, and Hades was no exception. Actually, Hades was the exception in the sense that it's, you know, one of the most critically acclaimed indie games ever created, essentially. And in a kind of twist for Supergiant Games, they decided to make a sequel to one of their games, which they've never done before. So Hades 2 this time is following a female protagonist as she attempts to, you know, go through her own journey and trials, just like our protagonist from Hades did. And there seems to be a little bit more of like a magical witchcraft kind of vibe to everything going on in Hades 2, even though it is set in the same realm in the same universe as Hades 1. So I'm just really excited to get a chance to play another Hades game, and I'm sure this game is going to be awesome, although they have a really high bar to reach. In at number 4 is going to be Hell's Gate. Now, Hell's Gate is a game where you play as a demon or something. I'm not sure what the character is, but you're fighting against demons. And it's basically if you took Tony Hawk, added combat, and made it roguelike, which to me is awesome. I grew up playing the Tony Hawk games. I really enjoyed and loved them. And Hell's Gate is one of the closest things I've seen that I think really nails the vibe of the Tony Hawk games in a lot of ways. Yeah, they're adding in this combat where essentially what you can do is you're out there skating, you're doing tricks and building up combos so that when you do fight, you deal more damage. And so you fight on your skateboard, you do attacks and combos, there's different weapons, etc. But you're still doing like skate tricks. They still have, your kick flips, your ollies, all that kind of good stuff. And they also have, and this is where I think they're kind of nailing the vibe here, is they have like the shop where you buy like the different skateboards and skins and trucks and wheels and all that kind of good stuff. And I don't know, man. I've seen the trailer for this, and the more I watch it, the more I'm just like, man, I want to play this game so bad. So this is super high up on my list for 2024. It just looks really, really good, and I really hope it doesn't disappoint, and I hope it does so well and they can put out more content and things for it, because this is just such a cool twist. I love when games take classic things that we've experienced before and add a modern twist and systems to them. That's one of my favorite things, period, in gaming. And so Tony Hawk with this crazy like demon hell vibe combat, roguelike modes. It's just, I don't know. Like, it's the game I didn't know I needed, but I need it like right now. Give me right now. So with all the praise I labeled on that, you're like, well, what else could there be, right? So we're getting into the top 3 here. In at number 3 for me is going to be Sword of Convallaria. Now, I want to put some caveats out there for Sword of Convallaria before we get into it here. This is a game that I believe is going to be mobile. It may have some mobile aspects in it as well. It's going to be on PC, but it's also going to be on mobile. But I still have it at number 3 on my list because I just think it looks that good. It looks that exceptional. I mentioned earlier that a lot of tactical strategy games for me just don't make the cut, because I grew up on some tactical strategy games. My favorite one was Final Fantasy Tactics. And the thing that really hooked me into Final Fantasy Tactics was the fact that you could actually customize each of your units. You had a skill set, a subset of skills, a reaction skill, a passive skill, a movement skill, and you could pull those from all these different classes and things that you learned and you leveled up per unit. And so you could have some really unique characters and units, and with each of those you could build a really unique and interesting squad to play the game with. And what I found in many of these turn-based strategy games or grid games, etc., is that level of customization is not there. Like, you have a set hero with set skills, or you level up and you pick one of 2 talents and then one of 2 talents. And to me, that just doesn't feel like I'm creating my own squad. I'm creating my own team. And for games like that, I hate them. I just skip them. I'm like, yep, I don't even care. I don't want to play this. Sword of Convallaria does not really look like that. It looks like there's a wide variety of characters for you to play from. And that in itself may be pretty similar to what I was just talking about, but it's got these other layers on top of it. Environmental effects. The artwork is absolutely insanely good. The spell effects and animation are top-notch, fantastic. The soundtrack for this game is composed by the same person who composed the soundtrack for Final Fantasy Tactics, which is one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, period. Everything I've seen about this game just looks absolutely fantastic. It oozes quality, it oozes care and detail, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. Like, I can't say enough. That being said, like I said, it's going to be on PC. It's probably also going to be on mobile. It's going to be free to play as far as I know. I don't know what sort of monetization systems they're going to have on there. I don't know if there's going to be a gacha system or, et cetera, et cetera. But I usually keep 1 to 2 mobile games that I play if I want to play on the go. Recently, that's been Honkai Star Rail and a couple other games. I'm looking forward to Zenless Zone Zero this year to check that out. But, if this is a game that you can play on the go, play on mobile, and then come home, hook up to the PC and play it as well, then that's going to be totally fine with me. I could definitely see this game making the cut, making the list for me as the 1 or 2 mobile games that I play. So Sword of Convallaria has me super excited, and I I don't normally get crazy excited about these types of games because my standards are so high for them. All right, as we get into this smooth jazz in the background, we'll do our number 2 game here. So number 2 game for me is Lightyear Frontier. Lightyear Frontier is a cooperative game where it's an open world farming game where you're in mechs. This looks like Stardew Valley combined with Astroneer. Stardew Valley is a game I personally couldn't really get into. Astroneer is one of my absolute favorite games in this genre, period, and I've played a ton of it. And this game to me just looks really, really fun. It looks like the kind of game that I could play with my wife and play with friends and actually really enjoy. So you're in a mech, first person. You're on this planet. You got to go and collect your resources. That aspect of it looks a lot like Slime Rancher to me, which is cool and fun. But then you're also going to be kind of building your systems and resources and things, which reminds me of Astroneer, along with just the setting and like the color palette remind me of Astroneer as well. But the big thing here that you're trying to do is you're trying to farm, and that obviously pulls in the Stardew Valley aspects. I think this is 1 to 4 player co-op. You're going to be able to customize your mechs. The developers have really taken a look at like, well, if you were in a mech, what would farming look like? And it's, stuff like being able to like shoot seeds into the ground and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I've been hyped about this game and highly anticipating it since it was announced. And it was announced quite a while ago. And they've just constantly been putting out updates for it, and we haven't gotten an opportunity to play it yet, but the planets look good, the mechs look good, the mechanics look good, the base building and farming and crafting look good. This game looks ridiculously awesome, and I've been excited to get my hands on it for a long, long time, and so I'm like, please, just bring it. All right, and my number 1 most anticipated game of 2024 is going to be Path of Exile 2. So Path of Exile 2 is the sequel, but not really a sequel to Path of Exile 1. I say not really a sequel because they're going to be kind of maintaining Path of Exile 1 and 2 at the same time. Path of Exile 2 is an ARPG in the style of Diablo or Path of Exile, and it just looks fantastic. I literally bought a new PC during Black Friday because I wanted to be able to run this game at max graphics. So this is the game I bought my new PC for. It looks like they're taking everything from Path of Exile, which is a game I really enjoy and play quite a lot of. I don't play every single league a lot, but I try to jump in and at least mess with the league mechanics every time they come out with a new league. But it looks like they're taking everything from Path of Exile 1 and just making it better. It looks like they're bringing it back to kind of a gameplay style that's not just load up everything onto one skill and then, blitz through an area. They're really wanting to focus on having to use multiple skills and combine things and use different skills at different times. I mean, if you watch the trailer for this from ExileCon, it was just insane. They have so many locations. They have over 100 unique bosses that are going to be launching with the game. They have brand new classes, brand new ascendancies for you to play as, and a lot of them look really, really fun. The monk looks super awesome. It's got a lot of elements where you're like dashing in and out. There's like a huntress, I think it's what it's called, that uses a combination of like a shield and spear and kind of darts in and out of melee and range, which looks really cool. And most recently, they announced the addition of the mercenary class, which just looks absolutely insane. It uses bows and crossbows, primarily crossbows, and it has a bunch of different types of crossbows that basically work like guns, honestly. They also announced WASD movement for the game, just a ton of stuff that if you're not really a nerd into Path of Exile or ARPGs, like it wouldn't make sense, and you maybe don't know like the significance of those things, but lots and lots of improvements and things, including a complete overhaul of the spell and gem system from Path of Exile 1 as well. All the microtransactions from Path of Exile 1 are coming over to Path of Exile 2. A lot of the in-game content and different types of things. Like, I spend a lot of time playing Path of Exile 1, and this game has me super hyped. Now, is it coming out in 2024? Probably not, but it is coming out into the beta mid-2024, so we will hopefully get the opportunity to play it, and that is really what I'm looking forward to. So there you go. Those are my top 10 games for 2024 with 10 honorable mentions and 2 games coming out of early access into 1.0 release that I'm super excited about. Now, I have a list of like 100+ games that I'm anticipating for 2024, so I really narrowed it down for this video. There's plenty of other stuff I'm excited about, but let me know what you're excited about in the comment section below, and let me know if I put anything up here on my list that really caught your eye and you're really excited about now. So that's all I have for you. Hopefully 2024 is a great year for gaming for all of us. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it as always. Thanks for a great 2023. We hit 500 subscribers before the year was over, and I didn't even know if YouTube was going to show my content to people. So I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I hope that together we have a great year here on the channel and a great year for indie games and gaming in general. All right, everybody. I'll see you in the rest of the year.